Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone was able to get in a good trading day today. Markets were definitely bumping around, and with a lot of earnings season stuff going on, Netflix namely, opening up down 55 points and then flying higher all day. What a crazy move today. Before we jump on in, as always, on slingshotfutures.com, scroll down and click on the newsletter registration. From here, you're going to be able to register for our free newsletter list. Inside that newsletter, we talk about a bunch of stuff that we just don't have time to talk about in the live stream, and that's going to be everything from stocks, options, crypto, whatever's moving will show up in that newsletter. So make sure to sign up for that so you don't miss anything important, so that next big move doesn't miss you by. Along with that, over on the 3-day trial right here, that link is where you can sign up for a free 3-day trial in the room. You can hang out with us for a couple days, see how we trade the markets, see how we approach the markets, see how we analyze things, get your feet a little bit wet, have some fun with us, ask some questions, and just generally have a good time. So make sure to sign up for that if you haven't done so already. Now, a little bit of a caveat. I had all kinds of issues today with my charting platform. Man, it was just one problem after another. So I'm using a backup charting platform again. This is certainly not the first time of the on the rodeo when it comes to that. I've definitely had my fair share of technical issues here and there over the long span of of being on a computer. So I'm very familiar with how all this works. So I am going to be using NinjaTrader today for a backup charting platform. But aside from that, everything else stays the same. So a couple things that we want to take a look at. First, tomorrow's news. Now, tomorrow does have a decent amount of news coming out. Tomorrow morning at 4:30 out of the UK, we have the CPI year over year for June, forecasted at 2.6%. Along with that, we have the 5 o'clock news out of the Eurozone, the CPI for June, and that is forecasted at 2%. Out of the U.S., first U.S. news announcement comes out tomorrow at 8:30. That's the building permits for June, forecasted at 1.33 million. And then aside from that, we have Fed Chair Powell testifying at 10 o'clock. At 10:30, crude oil inventories, and at 21:30 out of Australia, the employment change for June, forecasted at 17,000. Crude oil inventories, I forgot to say, forecasted at negative 3.495 million. Man alive, the last time crude oil inventories came out, it was a monster draw, 12.633 million. We do have the API report coming out later today. The API report comes out at 16:35, so make sure to sign up and kind of keep a lookout for that API report so that you don't miss those, because generally speaking, the API does tend to be a little bit more accurate than the actual inventories. Now, another side note as well, we do have President Trump on the microphone doing, I don't know if it's like a testify or he's going to be talking about the summit yesterday with, is that President Putin? Is that a president or a czar? I don't know. But he's going to be going over all of that later today. I believe it was scheduled for 2 p.m. So in about an hour, we're going to have Trump on the microphone going over all of that. So make sure to, maybe want to be a little bit careful around that time frame. Now, taking a look at a couple other things. Tomorrow, we do have some IPOs coming out. We have IPOs, 3 of them. So far, at least, Ruby, which is Rubius Therapeutics, Coastal Financial Corp, and Crinetics Pharmaceuticals. 3 different IPOs all scheduled to come out tomorrow. The biggest being a $241 million offer on Ruby. The second one, $97 million on Crinetics, and Coastal coming in at $46.9. Could be a couple interesting ones to keep our eyes out on for that. Now, it is also earnings season, so we do have some earnings coming out as well. This is the earnings list. Now, there's a lot of earnings coming out. We do have Abbott Laboratories, Morgan Stanley, some really, really big names on that list. And some of them that, they might not be the biggest names in the world, but something that you enjoy watching. Grainger and Textron and some of these other ones. Ericsson, Alcoa. There's a lot of earnings coming out tomorrow for you stock traders, so be careful going into, tonight and going into tomorrow. Tomorrow could be a wild ride on some of your favorite stocks if the earnings are coming out. So make sure to keep that in mind as we go into tomorrow's trading. Now, taking a look at the 4-hour chart for today on the euro. Now, the euro is still really, really range-bound. There's not really a whole lot going on with the euro, and for the most part, we're just kind of failing back into the range. We have a rising level of support that is kind of grinding along here and arguably fanning out a little bit further up. In terms of the resistance, they tried getting resistance here. That didn't really hold very well. Tried widening it out a little bit further. So far, so good. Looking for maybe a little bit more wedge resistance on the way down. But aside from that, we're still in a range. The market's not getting anything done. You know, we tried to get the lift higher, that failed. We tried to get a push down. The last time around, that failed as well. So nothing's really sticking on the euro. The trend is, for the most part, if we zoom out a little bit, is obviously down, but we are still stuck in a range on this as well. Big support coming in at 16,245. And that's going to be kind of the line in the sand. You know, with the sellers coming in and trying to push the market back down, the objective is to get down to that 16,245 area going into maybe tomorrow, might be a day after. But generally speaking, the objective is for the market to fall down towards that area of support. Now, looking on the resistance side of things, obviously there's a huge amount of support coming in off of the lows. But when we look at the sell side, we triggered above the swing high. And that's where a lot of traders consider a trend to change, right? When we break a swing high, we form a higher high and a higher low, then we're dealing with a situation that we have a potential trend change. We have the higher high and a higher low. If we break this high, that would be confirmation that the trend is changing. If we break this low, that is further confirmation that the range is taking back over, and the market's probably going to keep falling back down. So the situation that we're in right now, I mean, for the most part, it's a beautiful hold on a retest of that resistance. We put in the swing high, they broke above it, tried holding it as support, tried holding it, and then failed and failed again today. Beautiful resistance coming in off of that area, and really hard to ignore the fact that the sellers are definitely trying to push the market lower. I mean, especially looking at the most recent 4-hour bars, that is certainly no joke. I do not want to mess around with this most recent drop down. Probably going to be looking for a little more continuation, and really the anticipation for tonight's trading and into tomorrow's trading is continuation to the downside. I want to see the sellers keep pushing this market down until we can get down towards that support at the lows. And then from there, it might get a little bit interesting, but we got plenty of room until that area hits. Let's drop this out of the way. Take a look at gold. Now, gold on a 4-hour chart has broken down very aggressively. We have a very aggressive bear move to the downside. Everything is pushing lower, and the sellers are certainly intact. Everything is pushing down really, really hard. And if we zoom out, this is again another very obvious bear trend, but without the range that we saw on the euro. That actually happened back here. So where it stands right now, gold is anticipated to keep falling lower and keep driving down. And with such a big bear bar, I hesitate to want to look for selling pressure after such a large bear bar. A lot of times when you have that big of a bear bar, the market will pause for a little while and kind of stall out for a bit and then look to roll over and keep it going. This is one of those situations where that might be the case, especially since the trend has been going on for such a long period of time. I'm more looking for a sideways to maybe even slightly up going into tomorrow's session, with the assumption that this low will probably end up breaking at some point, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. But the fact that we're just getting stuck right here after a huge exhaustive blow-off candle, I have to assume that every seller who's been selling inside of here is going to be more than happy to take profit down here. And that's just the way that it looks right now. So with this big blow off on the bottom, looking for a range to potentially up, and probably going to end up closing as a slight doji on the 4-hour chart for the next couple candles. We'll have to wait and see. But overall, I'm not really looking to do much on gold. I would rather wait for a corrective phase back up. Maybe we can get a wick back up to kind of retest some of these previous levels at around 1237, maybe slightly ahead of 1237. For the most part, not really looking to do much unless we can get that lift higher. Otherwise, need to wait for it to go into a range and then break down again. Drop that out of the way. Over on crude oil did end up rolling over a little bit, but found some support at these lows. Traders tried breaking down through the bottom. They tried breaking down through the major low. That's what we have right here. And that did not succeed, at least not yet. We've got another, about 3 hours left on the candle. And really the big thing that we're waiting for now that we have such an attempted strong breakdown that failed would be seeing a move back up above that support, coil back over, hit it as support again, and then bounce off. And that's one of my favorite types of plays when we have this major level of support like this, a swing low or a swing high or a fib level or whatever. When you get that situation where it holds it, it shows their support there, it then breaks down and immediately reverses back up. That becomes a monstrous line in the sand for the market to come back, retest its support, and go flying higher. Now, again, if we zoom out on crude oil, we can see that for the most part, there's not really much going on in terms of a trend. We don't have a whole lot of a trend anymore. And, this is one of those situations where this could just be a big, kind of, not really a V-top, but I guess a U-top. where it goes crashing and crumbling all the way back down to the lows. But that's not going to happen until they finally break through this level of support. So that's the line in the sand right now. If they are able to continue back down to the downside, then we should see the sellers break through, come back and utilize it as resistance. If they're not able to get that done, then we're looking to utilize this right now as a break back above support and continuation higher. So for me personally, I'm more looking for bulls to continue the move and looking for a breakout pullback, or kind of a failed breakout lift pullback, however you want to say that, to retest into that support level. Now that support level, that's going to be right there at 67.72, and that's going to be the line in the sand going into tomorrow's trading. Looking good there. And then we've got the S&P. Now the S&P on the 4-hour chart has a very nice lift to the upside. We have broken aggressively higher, and a lot of the indexes went flying higher today. We did open up relatively bearish, and that's not really a huge surprise given all of the other big markets that make up these indexes were getting obliterated last night and this morning, but all of them reversed. Everything went flying higher. So the S&P is breaking out to the upside. Very strong lift, and showing that the buyers are certainly not done yet. The way that this looks when we zoom in is a hyper strong bull bar, and it looks like they might want to try to continue. Now, does that mean that they're, completely done and we're at the highs and it's going to be profit taking? Well, kind of depends on how the candles want to form. We have another 2 hours and 45 minutes until this candle is done, and with such a huge bull bar to the upside, if they can follow it up with another one, there's a very good chance that we get more continuation higher. And I have to be on the buy side when the market looks like this. So with the amount of bullishness that we're seeing coming into the S&P, I'm looking at this thinking, okay, well, we're in a situation where we have a lot of buying pressure coming in. We gapped down and went flying higher. We have somewhat of an engulfing bull bar right here, right? We engulfed all of the previous 4-hour bar, and to be fair, they engulfed a lot more than that. I mean, they engulfed all the way up until these candles here. So that's a big deal. The bigger an engulfing candle is, and the more candles previous that it engulfs, that's going to be even stronger. So there's a lot of buying pressure coming in here, and it's following up with even more buying pressure. So the anticipation going into tonight and tomorrow's trading is that we see this continue, and I'm looking for the buyers to keep shoving the market higher, because that's just kind of what makes sense. So buyers definitely own the market right now on the indexes, and everything is looking pretty strong. It's just a matter of how far they want to let it go. But I think the big one that I'm watching is going to be crude oil. I love the look of that line in the sand right there, and that's going to have my attention pretty much all day tomorrow, maybe even tonight. We'll see how much I'm able to sleep. But that's going to do it for the outlook. So I'll give you a little bit of time. Feel free to type in any markets you want me to take a look at. If nothing shows up, then we'll wrap it up from there. Give everyone some time to type in. All right, not seeing any questions or any markets coming in, so not a big deal. As always, like we always say, underneath the video, got the little subscribe button. Make sure to click on the subscribe button. Click on the notification bell icon to the right of it, so that way you're notified every time one of these videos go live. The big one for me, I'm going to be watching crude oil like a hawk tomorrow. 67.72 is a huge line in the sand, and I am going to be hawking that level like crazy for tomorrow's trading. We'll wait and see. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but that is going to be a big zone of interest for me. Aside from that, like we always say, doesn't matter what market you're trading, always make a plan, trade the plan, follow those rules, and be A-okay. As always, enjoy the rest of the day. Hopefully you had an awesome trading day today. Hopefully you have a great trading day tomorrow, and we will see you all tomorrow on our next YouTube live analysis. Of course, for you members, we'll see you bright and early in the morning. Have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later.